Two.
Yes, my name is Jimmie Miller, and I was born July 12, 1945.
Just a year.
Uh, Not but that, just 1945. I was just a kid. After I got old enough to go to school, I finished my high school education. Um, then, after I finished school, I went to work. Building was built in 1977.
Now I'm hearing something different. Sorry.
He got it in it. Pull it out of him. Go get it.
Gotcha.
Hey, you moved over a little bit.
Do you want it? You gonna start it over again because you think that might have been.
Oh yeah, I would start over.
Okay.
Cause like I said, I could, as soon as he started, I could hear it, and then it just, the more he kept talking, I kept
It's
hearing
a word
it more,
of
and it was like,
difference,
no, we ain't even gonna go no more.
Hey, Jimmy, when he asked you the year you was born, just do the year, don't do the date, because you got people out there that try to
Yeah,
use
just do
them
the year.
dates and,
That's fair.
you know, just say the year.
I don't. Well, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, and most of them you won't hear it anyway.
That's what I was saying.
It's just, it'll be on the record for the town, but they won't
For
hear
your
it in the
family.
actual documentary. But I guess we are on. It's on you, director.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Day, sir.
Yeah.
Could you tell me your name and the year you were born?
Jimmie Miller. I was born July 12, 1945.
And what do you remember about growing up in Mooresville?
Woo. Like I said, there's a lot of things I remember as a kid, you know, like I said, until I was able enough to go to school. And that was a daily thing until I finished high school. And then after that, like I said, I went to work. I worked in textile for quite a while. I finally decided to get married. So I done that, and we had kids, and we went from there. And jobs got better during the course of time of my life, is, you know, growing and everything. Like I was just saying, even when coming up as a child, I remember when stuff wasn't really completed, you know, for as like beans and all that stuff in bags. You had to get it in a bag by the buck. Gas and bread and stuff like that was cheap. Like I said, in my younger days in school, milk was 3 cents a bottle. So, and that's mostly my life, you know. I enjoyed, you know, my life as I come up. Even as today, I enjoy my life, you know.
What do you remember about being black in Mooresville?
Black community.
Yes.
Well, I've been in the black community all my life, but also I always stay beside a white on this side of me. We never had no problems out of nobody. I mean, I play with them, they play with me. We got along with no fighting, no arguing, no name calling, nothing like that. We played as kids. And that's where it's been all my life. You know, never has. I don't think I'm racist or nothing like that, but you know, you might do some things I don't like, but I get along with anybody.
And they with you.
Yeah.
We are here at Bethesda AME. AME Zion.
Yeah.
What you guys used to have a camp meeting, is that right?
Yes, we had kind of meetings going on back in the older days, like I said, when my dad and them was, well, even before my dad and them, we had always had kind of meetings. They're always the fourth Sunday in July. After kind of meeting, revival starts, actually that Sunday evening, but we went through a week of revival. And back then, when we actually didn't have church every Sunday, we had church for first and third, but we had a minister come in each one, during the time. During my actual time of being here in this church here at Bethesda, before my time, there was 15 pastors before me. I don't know about that. That's from my daddy's time. But Reverend M.B. Robinson, I was taken in this building over here under him in 1957. And I've been a member of Bethesda ever since 1957 when I was 12 years old. And I have enjoyed my life here in this church. I enjoy this church. I love the people here at this church. We all get along. And we're just a happy family here. And like I said, that's just the way it is.
What role would you say that Bethesda has played in Mooresville?
We played a good role here. I say it back then. Me and my wife and the kids always talk about, and this is during the time the pastor Reverend Miller was here. I don't know why nobody took the time to do a lot. I did do some video, but my films don't work out. I tried to, look at them, but it's somehow it won't come through. But we should have made something should have been written up in this church during the course of time when Miller was here. Because when he came to this church, like I said, he was 21. We still had all the old folks here. We were just kids. And one of the elder ladies stepped up and said, they sent that little boy here to this church, the pastor's church. Well, he swallowed the boy, but when he got through preaching that Sunday, she really admired him and said, well, you need this church, when he got through. Everybody really enjoyed Miller after his sermon that Sunday. I learned a lot under the man. And I'm older than him, but I took my wing, got up under him and learned a lot about what's going on inside the church. I don't attend to all the meetings they do, but back then we had a lot of district stuff here at this church here. And all you do, if you want to get involved, just go ahead and step in, because he didn't stop nobody from doing anything at this church. If you wanted to join whatever, do it. And that's when, like I said, when I come here, I was in a rock band, and my guys were cheating me all the time, so I didn't get no pay in the rock band. So I said, well, the last time I was in Chester, South Carolina, on stage, me and my buddy walked out. I had all the equipment, and we put it in the U-Haul, and I left. And I told him, I said, I'm going in the church. If God will allow me to take my good time in church, that's where I'm going. So when Miller, I asked him, he said, yes, bring it. And I brought 4 or 5 more guys with me, so. And that's where we've been up to now. I've been here in this church playing, I'm gonna say 48 years, and I never asked for one dime to play. The pastor we got now seemed to, that he wanted to put me in the budget, and I told him, I said, no, I don't want to be in the budget for pay, but I will accept appreciation. So that's what he done for the first time for me and the guy to play the bass guitar. And it hadn't happened. And he wants to do it again, but I told him, don't worry about that. God didn't charge me to learn me, teach me, so I want to give back what he gave to me. So that's just been my life for us. I love my music now. But the only thing about it, I picked up the wrong instrument. I picked up a guitar, but I should have picked up organ or piano, because it's not for the money. Like I say, I don't, because these guys charge too much, but that's them. So, but I'm happy with what I do. All I can say, I like to say, sometimes you say thank you, and I'm just as happy as you are. So, and that's just about this church here that I know about this church. Now, I mean, there's a lot of things more that I could talk about this church, but a lot of it, like I said, I learned it from my dad. He was telling me about things that went on. Like I said, after I give myself to the right of doing the right thing in the church, that's what I wanted to do. So that's where I am now. It's just like There's a lady over here on this side. She's been here as long as I have the one to come in the door. I guess she decided she's not gonna come over here. And the guy that called me is supposed to be here, so I said, well, I'll do what I gotta do. I mean, you know, I'm not afraid to talk, cause my wife said I'm too nosy. So, but I'm gonna learn what it.
So how old is Bethesda?
Okay. I can't say exactly how old Bethesda, but we just celebrated 174 years. But the lady across the street, she was a white lady. She was, I forgot her last name anyway. She told me and my cousin, actually, this church here was founded in a white church. We come out of a white church. Carter Creek Presbyterian is right down here. Like I said, I think this church, she told us that this church was built, wasn't long after Carter Creek was built. Now Carter Creek is 260 some years old. And I feel like that we should be at least 230, at least. But nobody here that can say that. I went out back there before y'all got here and I looked at a couple of the oldest graves back there. We got graves from 1917 and all that. But there's not a whole bunch of tombstones, but I was told that they was buried all the way across. So I don't know who's out there and what's out there. That's way before my time, but the one of the stones out there I counted up, and from the date today is like 170 some years old. But I still say I tried to get them years ago to accept a date for this church, because from my childhood, from what I know, this is the only black church was in Mooresville at the time we were growing up. So I know Reese Memorial Presbyterian Church is 160 something. So all these other churches come in after it, so I don't know. But most of all these churches, this wasn't the AME Zion church when it was built. All churches were just AMEs. John Wesley come back and discovered that he needed to make something different out of the Zion church. So he come back with an African Episcopal Zion church. So that's where we at now with this. But I couldn't tell you exactly. I know we was in 1875, it was built in 1875. And then the church caught a fire some kind of way. This is for my time though. This is the information I got from some of the other people. And then it was rebuilt in 1886. So by Reverend James Hill. I don't know exact. I couldn't give you an exact date how old this church is. So, but I'm saying we need at least 230.
Okay.
But getting the people to accept that, I don't know.
But you would definitely say this is the oldest black church.
Yeah. Well, I think they like it is to 160, because usually we celebrate every year, and it's $170. That's what you got to pay. So I guess they like it like this to the 200. So, but I don't know.
You mentioned the music and the guitars that you bought in and whatnot. Under Reverend Milder's leadership, did you? Is that when you recorded the CD and the albums?
No, the CD was done by. We done the CD, but it was under John Bennett, Reverend John Bennett, because we never had a woman or nobody come in here and actually play no instrument here in our church. So when we decided to do this, this was a fundraiser for us. So when we decided to do this, we asked Reverend John Bennett to come in and be minister of music at that time to do this album. Me, drummer, and another guy played, we was in the background on all this, everything we done. And after it was over with, we had albums galore to get rid of. We got rid of the majority of all our albums that we got. I think I wound up with a box left, so, but everything was success. That was one great thing that we done here for is doing that. And like most of all our fundraisers during the course of time Miller was here was surely excess, so.
You mentioned the cost of goods growing up. Were those in black grocery stores, or was that across the board?
Black stores?
Mm-hmm.
No, mostly everything was white. The grocery stores and things at that time. But now, we had plenty of black business and otherwise, and in other things. We had, I got a list of mostly all the black businesses that we've had here in Mooresville. And I think most of them made a success. And like they said, they got Terry Graham him and Norris was the first time, Mr. Rob Grimm was the first taxi owner here in Mooresville. And then after he passed away, and that's when Terry took it over, because Terry used to run 4-6 Diner right there, where your people live at on West End. And so like I said, we had a lot of black business here in Mooresville, people that really, I think everybody made a success in what they were doing, because everybody got older and they started shutting down things. So, and I don't know if we got very many black businesses in business right now. And that's,
But they were successful before they shut down. Can you go through some of the prices of the goods again?
Gas, I think it was 15 cents a gallon. Bread was 17 cents. I do remember cookies was two for a penny. And when I used to go to the store, I come back with a bag of cookies, but that's what it was. And like milk, like I said, milk wasn't that high back then, because we didn't drink drinks back then. If you got milk, you was doing good, or water. So we wouldn't worry too much about the sodas, but the bread and the gas, well, we didn't have a car, but the bread and the milk we needed, and the other stuff, beans and stuff like that. I think like 5 cents a pound, beans, sugar and stuff like that there was in pounds, what you bought back then. So, but most of that was right there. All those same stores that I remember is still uptown today, but they remodeled to something else. And that's about it for us business-wise. I mean, like I said, we had taxis, we had mechanicals, we had restaurants, a lot of places. Let's see. Okay, we had Mr. Jimmie Campbell's Cleaners, Terry's Taxi, Duke's Auto Service, Pike's Auto Service, June Shepherd had a service station, Lacey Bell had a beautician, Virginia Knox beautician, and just Pfeiffer's Barbecue, and Kittyland Nursery, Cafe, Jim Frank Car, and all, we had a lot of stuff like that there, but I guess I enjoyed them all myself, because I didn't have to go for a couple of them at the barber shop. And back then, haircuts, back when I came along, haircuts were only 50 cents a piece.
And who cut your hair?
Reverend Bankhead. And that was at Bill Allison's cafe on Cabarrus, where I was born and raised at. Then another guy before he got licensed, he was cutting half for 35 cents. So I started going to him, and that was June Frontis. Until he had to go and get certified license, and then that's when he went to full price or what it was supposed to be, but he still wasn't high. You know?
All right, give me 1 second.
Man, that's good information.
Same spot until they moved down there.
Yeah, right there in front of the
Yeah.
Jerusalem. Right there in front of
And
the
that's,
third hill.
that's where it was. So,
But it was Moton first.
yeah, Mo,
I was the shoe shine man.
and he was, actually, he owned the funeral home in Stateford at that time.
That's right, sure did.
But that was after the man you referred to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, tell me, let's stop for a second. I want to talk about Mr. Moulton.
That was about it. And when he wasn't in there, he was in his business in Stateford at the funeral home. So, and that's about all I know about Mr. Moulton. So, when he picked up a couple guys, when Brother Frontis went to him, and he got out of it after June went to there. I don't know what happened to him after that, though.
You said he was a reverend also?
Yeah.
Tell me about Dunbar.
Dunbar? Okay, I started Dunbar in my early years in 1961. We was an individual, private black school. I came from 1st to the 12th grade, like I said. The principal that we had, I really admire the principal that we had because he stands out to me because this man here have taught or whatever guide a lot of folk way older than I am. That I looked through the yearbooks back then and I said, well, he was principal then? Yeah. So Mr. Woods come out of the birdcage. We had 2 schools. And him and another teacher, which was named Miss Claire Neely, they came from the birdcage, but it was 3 of them. I can't remember the third, but I do know Mr. Woods was principal and Miss Claire Neely was a teacher at that time. And I went to that school from, like I said, from the 1st grade to the 12th grade. And everybody was just, we just enjoyed that school. The only thing that, I never had no problems the whole time with school, but like I said, this man have earned his duty of being a principal at that school. And the only thing that, if I had anything against Mr. Woods, he didn't let us play football. He said we was too little. But he didn't realize we were gonna have to grow up. So we had a basketball team, we had a baseball team, we didn't have no soccer. Now, he would allow us to, if somebody bought a box of gloves to school, he would let us box, but you couldn't fight. You could box each other, but he wouldn't let you, if it got to where you got mad, he'd make, you had to quit. I enjoyed the school because, like I tell everybody, I wasn't no bully in school. I never bothered nobody. But I learned myself not to be scared of nobody. I got in good with the principal and the teachers. Now, you could be out there fighting yourself. I walk into your fight and tell you, you don't need to do that here. If you want to jump on somebody, jump me. And they quit. So they would remind me, I got just about to do anything I wanted to do at that schoolhouse, and they'd always send me to town to take all the money to the bank and everything, and like I would tell stories, no joke. I go in my classroom, I tell my teacher, and he had the same last name. I said, Reverend Miller, he was a preacher. I left my gym shorts at home. Can I borrow your keys to go to home? He'd give me his keys, and I'd take his car and go. 8, 9 of us guys would be in his car. We'd be riding up down through town. My gym shorts were down in the village. That's just a story I would tell, but anyway, we never got caught with it. So, and I admire him too, my senior teacher, because He told me one day, he said, "You'll need me before I need you." So he asked me to do some things around the schoolhouse, and so I didn't want to do it, but I turned around and sacrificed and started doing it. But at the end of the year, I'm not gonna say I didn't deserve a diploma, but I did get one. And I really thank him because he's the one that made sure that I was to receive that diploma. So I thank Reverend Miller and I thank Woods as being the principal of the school. Those two items that the guys that I admire a lot. Now I didn't, all other teachers that I had no problem out of none of the teachers I went to school with, but it's just that I think in high school, I took a little bit more interest in what I was doing, so.
Jimmie, what was Mr. Woods known for? One of his, that he was really known for, that he carried in his hand all the time? Little ruler that he pop you hit. Remember he used to carry that ruler in his?
Now you repeat that again?
He said he carried a ruler.
Carried a ruler with him all the time. A ruler,
Mr. Woods.
a little yardstick. He
Oh.
carried that ruler.
Yes, that thing was about that thick. I don't know if it was a special made ruler or what. But all he done walk around, he hit against his leg all the time. And if you got into anything in school, now he didn't say beat you or nothing like that, but he would tell you, you better be yourself before you be by yourself. So that was one thing that, like I said, this man managed that school with good concern, and I felt that he don't know what he was doing. The only thing I could say is just like, during the course of time when we was going to school, now there wasn't no ratio about the whites and blacks, but the whites got out of school earlier, and we got out after they did, because they didn't want us to pass each other on the sidewalk. I went to school many mornings walking to school, because I never rode a bus, and we had to walk a mile to school every day. And in the morning, when we meet the white kids, they would have a word they would say, "Good morning, Blackie, how's the weather?" We said, "Okay, Clever," and keep on going. No fights and nothing like that. And it was like that there. And during the course of time, while we was walking, traveling the sidewalk, we all made friends. We stopped and talked to each other. So we, like I said, I never been in an environment where that I couldn't get along with you and this and that,
That took me by surprise. I hadn't heard that before. Wow. Okay. The how you said that the relationships, generally speaking, were good with whites and blacks. Do you recall an exceptional time where it wasn't?
No.
No. That's good. Do you remember Dr. King's passing, or how the civil rights era was in Mooresville?
No.
You had mentioned when you were walking to school and had to walk by the white kids. Just tell us more about those experiences.
Well, it didn't, we didn't, we didn't look at what they said to us about, calling us out our name, because like I said, Mama named me Jimmie. And if you call me Jimmie, I'm answer. And you can call me whatever you want to. I don't have to answer nothing. So, like I said, if you overlook things sometime and go on about your business, things will work out. Because see, it makes him look stupid when you don't, talk back to him. So he's gonna go on his way, I'm gonna go mine. So it never bothers me, really. But it bothers me when my own black calls you out of your name, this and that, and they call you that in the front of anybody. So that's what really bothers me more than anything. But like I said, next door to us, we always played. My mama never worked, she never worked, a labor job, but she would do a little house cleaning. And the people that live right up the street from us, now this lady had a water pipe. She smoked that thing. Me and her grandson, and We got, like I said, we got along just like we were brothers. We been up in there trying to smoke that water pipe and there wouldn't nothing come out of it. But she come in and pull that thing one time and blow smoke. I don't know what we were doing, but we couldn't do it. And they come to, we had the guy that run the Army Navy store, Nat Smith. He would come to our house just about every other evening, and my mama cooked every day. This man would come to our house and sit down at our table and eat his dinner. And go to his house and wouldn't eat nothing at the house because he said his wife couldn't cook. Now, I'm serious. And my wife used to, fundraisers used to sell fish and stuff like that. And he'd always come. And when he knows she's selling fish, she'd have to call him and tell him she's selling fish. Now, for a white man to love croaker fish, Nat did. Now, he come there and he said, now, give me 2 and give me a fork. And he sat there and when he get through that fish, all you see was bones. I mean, that's just where he was. I mean, but like I said, we always got along with whites.
The man that would come to your house and eat growing up, was he paying your mother? He just...
No, we knew him. What he did, he was a candy seller, and she used to sell candy for him. And I guess whatever he smelled in the house cooking, he'd ask for it. She'd give it to him.
Was your father there?
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was always, like I said, was an easygoing man. 99 years, I never seen my daddy drink. I never seen my daddy curse. And actually, he didn't drink at all. And the first time he had surgery, when he was 87 years old, he had our first operation. And I was working at the gas company. And I asked my boss, could I go? He said, yes, take off and go. And his operation was a success, but then he started going down. Not that didn't bring him downhill, but he was getting older and older. And so I was working in Virginia, and my son was acting up, and my wife told me I need to come home. And I came home to get him straightened out. And I had 3 incidents that same day. My daughter had a wreck in the car. She was on her way to college. My son was acting up in school, and my daddy died the same day. And the good part about it, he asked the nurse, they'd come in, and take care of him in the morning. And my mother had made him a cup of coffee. And he asked the nurse to give him a sip out of his coffee, and she handed him his cup, and he took a drink out of it and handed it back to him and died. That's what she told me. So I said, if the Lord take me in my sleep, I'm happy.
If you don't mind mentioning call his name, your dad's name.
What's your dad's name?
Henry Monroe Miller. It was, actually it was 8 of us kids. 3 had died at birth, and 5. And as of right now, my oldest brother just died last year. And there's 4 of us left. Well, my sister passed away, so it's 3 brothers still left. We communicate. I get them on the phone and we talk. So.
You mentioned your dad didn't have surgery or of any sort until he was 87. What was healthcare like growing up here in Mooresville for you?
His health?
Healthcare in Mooresville growing up for you.
Oh, he didn't have none of that, I don't think, because my daddy was a World War I veteran. He went in service. He got out of service and then he went to Southern Railroad. And after he got out, he retired from Southern Railroad. He was 70-something when he retired from Southern Railroad. Actually, he retired before I finished high school. And it wasn't a whole lot of, the only thing he had was, I think he had insurance for Southern Railroad, and that's about all he had. Those little policies that they, I don't know if y'all remember none of that stuff. They used to have insurance people come around to your house, and you could pay like 3 cents or something like that. I'm not saying, I might be wrong there, but it was a cheap policy that they would sell you. But you get low money when you know, if you had to turn it in. Now they would sell you the cheap one, a high one, but you got low coverage. But they sell a white one, the cheap one, they got high. So that's just what it was. Back then, they had, I didn't know this myself, they had black insurance and white insurance. I didn't know that. I was with Kentucky Central, and the guy had come to my house and was talking to me about the insurance. And he was telling me, and I had another white guy, both of them were white. One was sitting over here and the other sitting over there. And when this Kentucky Central man said, he was telling about this black insurance and white insurance. And when he got through talking to me, and I told him, I said, I tell you what, you cash everything I got in and give me my money. Because that's not where it's supposed to be. So after he left my house, this other guy over here, he said, I'm not being smart, nothing like that. He said, I'd have never come out of my mouth and said that to you. I wouldn't have sold that type of insurance in the first place. Because he was, I don't know if you remember Tom Sawyer or not. He was a homeowner insurance man. So that's when he come to reevaluate my house at that time. So he says, I would never cheat nobody in insurance like that there. He said, but I never would have told you that there was a white and black insurance. But there were. But I cashed my policies in and I forgot about the man. He's gone. So, but there was no coverage for my dad because, like I said, my dad was healthy all the way up until he had the surgery, you see, and like I said, you know, and when he done, not saying I was trying to give him up, but you done passed, you're 80 years old, so you didn't hardly need no insurance back then, so, you know.
But he was a World War II veteran and still
Yeah.
didn't have insurance.
Yeah.
Do you remember what some of the differences were that he told you between black insurance and white insurance?
No, I didn't get into that because when he told me that, I wanted to show my piece right there in the house because I had another guy sitting there. So, well, I would have normally told him where he can go when, you know, but I just told him to cash my stuff in and give me my money. So, but they were white insurance and black insurance.
Did you have insurance growing up, or did you ever go to the doctor?
No, I didn't have health insurance, nothing like that when I was coming up as a kid. Mama had little education policies on us, but going to the doctor back then was real reasonable. I mean, you didn't pay that much money to take me to the doctor back then. I didn't get insurance until I started working on my own. First, I got a policy with the hospital when I first started working at the hospital, and then from that point, my jobs gave me better insurance that I needed. And just like they're trying to sell me insurance now, I don't need it.
Back then, a lot of the elderly, our grandparents and your mom, they probably, like for colds, they had their own like herbs that they would get out in the woods and stuff and come in and make it up for us. Did you ever experience your mom doing that?
Mm.
Did you hear what I said, Jim? You might not have heard.
Do you remember any of the old remedies that they would do instead of going to the doctor? What are some of them?
It used to be a common thing that we had, it was called a croup. It was something similar to a cold. It's something you get buried in your chest. Okay. My dad would go in and get a cup, he put a little sugar in it. And he'd get the kerosene jug, put kerosene in it. And he'd stir it up. And you took sips of that kerosene and sugar, and it would break everything loose in you. I'm serious. when I had okay, I've had all kind of like mumps, measles, chickenpox. I had all that. Now mumps is in here, right in here. So mom just take these towels and tie it right in here. Put a little sardine grease on that. Yeah, they used to do that. A cold, sometimes she could take, if you really had a bad cold, they could take onions and garlic, stuff and tie it around your neck and all that stuff like that there. All back when I ran barefooted a long time when I was little. If you cut your foot or something like that, just pour a little kerosene on it. Kerosene would stop the bleeding right quick. I'm serious. Back then, kerosene was a common thing that nobody just drank it,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until you put that make your little remedy medicine. I can't really. There's another guy that had, you take egg vinegar. I know it was egg vinegar and something else, and he could mix the stuff up, and it would look like honey when he got through with it. If you had any fluid when you get up in the morning, you cough, you had fluid, you take a sip of that a spoonful of that every day, you don't have no fluid no more. I get rid of it. Now, this man used to come here to church here, and like I said, I always sat on that side of the church, but we was over there. His name Ruth White, and he used to have bad stomach problems. Well, down at the creek, I don't know if you remember as a kid, it used to be a thing, it looked like a flower, but when you pull it up, it looked like onion on the bottom of it. It was what you call camel root. You take that camel root and you boil it, and that was medicine for the stomach. The kids that back then, that it used to be a thing that kids, boys, not girls, used to have you get the what you call ringworms in your hair and have spots all over your head. Well, you go in the woods and you find a tree that's got a gap in it, where the water's in the tree, where the frog was bit in there. You get you some of that, take a rub in his head, it take care of that too. We had a lady, which is Miss Lois Work. I don't know if you heard tell of her or not. I know he know her. And she never went to the doctor the whole time. She was 110 years old. Wow. She made her own herbs every day that she took. And so, but she's, I think I'm proud of her because she is, since I've been a black American, that we never had a black president until Obama, she got to meet him as president. So they killed her up there. So, but that's out for those remedies, that's about all I know.
And she was from here?
Yeah.
Really? Did she go to Bethesda?
Yeah. Oh, no. Her husband went here, she went to Waukesha. Her two boys went to Waukesha, and the husband was here because he was, Marvin Works was the chairman, the treasurer of the church for over 30-something years until he got disabled, and then they had to give it to somebody else. So, but yeah.
This is all.
It's just a little. It's just an oil that they, they still sell it today, but they don't use it no more because they don't recommend doing these things no more. Because
right. I
was told the biggest thing putting in your ear is your elbow, so you can't get that up there. So, but that was
If not, what was policing like back then?
Now repeat.
Policing. What was policing like growing
The
up?
police. Well, like I said, I'm gonna straight it this way. None of us in my family never been involved in the law. None of us. No, besides us as a traffic ticket. But during the course of time when I was coming up where I lived at, Now, I think it was a little bit racial then, but yet and still, we lived on Boot Hill, but it was Cobar's. We had about 6 or 7 bootleggers over there was selling. So, but they know when the man was coming because everybody get rid of all this stuff. But very seldom anybody would get caught doing it. But they wasn't well back then. They was racial then because they didn't care nothing about blacks then because they'd rather put a rope around your neck just as quick as they can get it around your neck. So I do know that one of my buddies survived. He made time, but he survived out of a story that I was told about him. So, but anyway, he's okay now. He's older than I am. So, but
Is that story here?
huh?
Was that story here in Mooresville?
Yeah,
Do you mind telling us?
yeah. But he was accused of breaking in a woman's house. So, but other than that, like I said, they was terrible around here. But we didn't have to worry about the law, cause the law was at our house. Mom and Dad, that's all we had to worry about. They didn't play. My daddy wasn't a pushy guy, but I couldn't say that about my mama, because I can't remember the day from the time I was born that my daddy ever beat me. And I done lots of everything. I mean, I done everything you could think of, but he never beat me. But now, Mom did. She didn't care. I could be standing uptown back, if you want to go back a little bit, we didn't get to go to town but maybe once a month. And I used to hate to go, but if you got a pair of shoes and she took you in the store, you might want this one. You're going to get the shoes she get. You didn't get what And she would tell you right straight up, she didn't say, she didn't cuss, but she had her words of saying things, and she'd say, well, if you don't want this him, you won't get nothing. And so that's just where it was with us, so, but she would chastise you no matter where. If I was acting up here at the church when I was young, and it wasn't no waiting to get to the house, you got it right there in front of everybody. That's just where she was. So we learned to obey. Really, I'm serious. I had to give to my mom and dad both that they really raised us right. And I wish both of them were still here today, but they out there, so, and, but that's just where, And I have, now see, none of y'all have done this. I'm talking about shoes. Like this right here would flap back. We used to Dad would buy coal and had a wire around the coal sack. And he'd take that wire and take an ice pick and he'd stick it through your shoe and that sole. He'd wire that joker back up. Now you had to be careful when you walk, because that wall hit the side of your ankle, tear it up. I've done that. Shoes with no bottom there, I've done that. I came through all that. So it's nothing that is embarrassing that I came through. It's just that's what it was. I went through 3 Christmas and didn't get nothing. But I wasn't mad at my parents because my dad was always gone. Dad was working the Southern Railroad when I was a kid. I didn't know my dad really until I was 15 years old because he was always gone. But when he come in, Christmas time was there. So it wasn't like, most kids today, if they don't get nothing, they're going to pout. So, well, you had all year to get this. Well, we didn't do that. We took what we had. I never received the whole time of my life. I never had a new bicycle. I never had a tricycle. None of that stuff. Only bicycle I ever had was what somebody threw it out and we put it back together. That was it. But I've enjoyed life from the day one that I was able enough to get on my own and do, And that's just me.
Can you tell me about the railroad here in Mooresville and any stories about that being built? And then tell us a little bit about your father and the work he did with the railroad.
Well, when he was gone, he didn't work here in Mooresville. The Southern Railway was like, they would start in Winston and North. They was gone. Like, he would come in on a Friday evening, and he was with us from Friday to Sunday morning. He was gone. And didn't make no difference what type of year, what the weather was like, they was gone. And they worked every day. I think I know I was 20, so I was married, and he was called in. I don't know if you remember the wreck they had down on 115. Oh, it's been 40 or 50 years ago. Southern River had a wreck right there down below Huntersville, somewhere down there. D-Rider, that's what it was, D-Rider. And derailed, and he was called in. They had to work all night long. We gave them dinner down there that Sunday evening. They was down there, they had these cranes and things, set the trains back up on the track and all that. And that's the most I remember about him working for Southern Railway. So.
Anything else?
Said,